In this video, you'll learn how to attach buttons and create buttonholes. Before attaching a button, you need to lower the feed dogs. The feed dogs are what move the fabric forward as you sew, but since we need the fabric to stay in place, we have to lower them. Slide the cover off of the sewing machine and flip the feed dog switch to the icon showing the triangles under the line. Replace the cover. Select the button foot from the sewing foot set. Attach the foot to the sewing machine. It's a good idea to mark the location of your button on your fabric with chalk or some other removable marking tool. With the presser foot raised, place your fabric on the machine, then your button on top. You want the two buttonholes you'll be sewing in to be horizontal and centered between the blue plastic piece of the foot. Select the zigzag stitch on the machine. Slowly turn the hand wheel and watch to ensure that the needle is inserted into the buttonhole. If it collides with the button, you may have improper placement, or you may need to adjust the stitch width. Adjust the button position so that the needle can be inserted into the first buttonhole. Continue turning the hand wheel until the needle lowers towards the other hole. Watch to make sure that the needle does not collide with the button. If it does, adjust the stitch width and continue. Once you have confirmed that the needle can safely be inserted into the two buttonholes, use the pedal to sew about 10 stitches. Press the needle button or raise the needle using the hand wheel. Then raise the presser foot and cut the threads with long tails. Using a hand needle, pass both threads underneath the button, then wrap them around the sewn threads a few times. Using the hand needle again, pass the threads through to the back of your piece, then tie them off into knots. If your button has 4 holes, turn your piece and repeat these steps. Creating buttonholes can vary a bit from machine to machine. Some machines, like the Quantum Stylus, use a one-step buttonhole system, which means that you can create the entire buttonhole without changing the stitch. First, make sure to raise the feed dogs. Using your button as a guide, mark the location and orientation that you want your buttonhole to be in. For demonstration purposes, we are using a Sharpie, but you'll want to use chalk or something similar so that you can remove the markings after finishing. Select the buttonhole foot and place your button in the back section. This tells the machine how large your button is. Attach the foot to the machine and pass the top thread through the hole in the middle. Place your fabric under the foot and lower it so that the top marking of your buttonhole is centered in the window. Lower the button lever. It should come down between these two protruding pieces. There are a variety of buttonhole options, but we will stick with the simplest one. Press the pedal to begin sewing. The machine will sew all sides of the button on its own. Then it will beep to let you know that it is finished. Remove your fabric from the machine. You may want your stitches to be closer together or farther apart, depending on your project. To adjust this, change the stitch length on the machine. A longer stitch length will space the stitches out further, and a shorter stitch length will space them closer together. For our Genome machine, use this foot to create buttonholes. This machine uses a 4-step method to sew buttonholes, so it's a little less automatic. Make sure that the feed dogs are raised. Attach the foot to the machine and thread the top thread through the hole in the middle. Use the stitch selection knob to select the first step of the buttonhole stitch. Use the stitch length knob to select the buttonhole icon between 0 and 1. Slide your marked fabric under the foot and then line the red arrow up with the top of your marking, with the bottom of your marking at the end of the foot. You can slide the foot back and forth to adjust. Begin sewing. When you reach the end of the buttonhole foot, switch to the second buttonhole step. This is the same selection you will use for step 4. Sew about 5 stitches, then switch to step 3. Sew until you reach the top of your buttonhole mark. Then switch to step 4, which is the same as step 2. Sew about 5 stitches, then remove your fabric from the machine. When creating buttonholes on either machine, it's a good idea to sew a few straight and back stitches over the corner where you began and ended to lock the threads into place. You can also tie a knot by hand. To complete your buttonhole, insert a pin at the top of your stitch, right below the top bar tack. Then, insert a seam ripper into the bottom of the stitch above the bottom bar tack and carefully push it forward to rip a hole in the fabric. The pin will prevent you from going too far. Remove the pin and trim any loose threads.